as I came off stage, Bernard Delphont was standing there on the side in the wings, and I thought, oh, here we go. And he just held out his hand and shook me by the hand.
And the next day, the papers had a headline which said, "A star is born."
That's right, Daily Express, yes.
A star is born. You certainly were. You went on to do, what, 19 films, over 30 television programmes, and we'll talk about some of that in just a moment.
Look forward to that. To see Billy Marsh, my agent, and they said, we've seen Norman, we'd like to do have Norman Wisdom for film. So Jill Craigie, Michael Foot's wife, wrote the original script, and then it was changed and altered, and we did a film. And never forget, because they did when we finished the film, they were all nervous all the way through the film, and when we finished the film, they decided to do a sneak preview, which they did at the Odeon Theatre, Camden Town, and I was standing in the foyer, very nervous, watching the executives come in, Ian St. John and John Davis, and the various directors and people, and they came in and they said, good evening, Mr. Wisdom. Some came in and said, hello, wish you luck, and all that stuff, and oh, frightened out of my life, these people coming in. Yes, hope it'll be all right, that's all, and all that. And I went in and watched the film when it started, the sneak preview, because they had a captive audience there, obviously. It was, and I didn't watch the screen, I watched the people, and fortunately, lucky me, they all laughed.
And this was the movie Trouble in Store?
Yeah, when the film was over, I went out and stood in the same place, more or less, in the foyer, and the same people came out and said, oh, darling, absolutely wonderful. Oh, you are so wonderful. Isn't he fun? Oh, yeah. The something of show business, I was going to say, like
yes.
The bull. And yes, it was Trouble in Store, for which I received a British Film Academy Award.
Hello? Well, of course this is Barrage's. Is it Barrage? The order for 5,000 linen dresses? Yeah. All brown? 5,000 of them? Don't want brown, do we? Dirty colour. Make 'em pink, eh? 5,000, all pink. That's it. Yeah. Oh, and thank you too.
But this was the character. This is the one that we say. This brilliant concept of making the character the star, which of course is what Chaplin always did, wasn't it?
Yes.
Chaplin made the character
yes.
the star. You did the same. What do you think was that character's appeal?
The fact that he made mistakes that we can all make, but we don't like to admit it. So you laugh. Somebody slips on a banana skin, you laugh. If he slips on a banana skin and hurts himself, you go, oh. So pathos is just as important, laughter is just as important as tears, really, and I'll put it that way.
Of course, it is extraordinary that you went into the Royal Hussars not being able to play any instrument.
Right.
You taught yourself, you became a musician. Subsequently, you wrote all the music for your films, didn't you? All your own songs,
The
all
songs,
the
yes.
music. Yes.
Oh, yes.
So don't laugh at me. That's
Don't
a Norman
laugh at
Wisdom.
me. Well, I had a job to get that one away, mind you, because I had written the song already, because I wanted to use it on stage. But we got to a scene with Lana Morris in Trouble in Store, and Paddy Carstairs, we were just going to shoot that, and he said, I wish we had a song to go in here, an ideal spot. And I said, well, I've got one. He said, well, what is it? I said, well, I've written one. He said, don't tell me about that. You've written half of the script, and he wasn't interested. He wouldn't listen, because he didn't believe that I would write a song. So I went over to the music department at Pinewood Studios, and I got the pianist there who I knew, and I said, I'll tell you what, look, I'm going to give you a bit of music. Will you put your name on the top of it? And then will you go to Paddy Carstairs, the director, and say, look, I understand you're looking for a song for Norman Wisdom, and get him to listen to it. And he said, all right, why not? And the following afternoon, Paddy Carstairs came to me just after lunch, it was, and he said, Norman, I think I found your song. And I said, you're joking. He said, no, 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 come over. And he took me over to the music room, and this fellow played the music, and Paddy says, there you are, what do you think of that? I said, well, he said, you're going to sing it anyway. So I said, oh, all right then. And I didn't tell him until we'd recorded it that I'd written it. And
What did he say then?
Well, I won't tell you.
Don't laugh at me, 'cause I'm a fool. I know it's true, yes, I'm a fool. No one seems to care.
Do you want another little quickie story that when doing the stunts? I always did my own stunts, you see, and one morning Bob Asher said as I came, he said, you're not doing this. I said, why? He said, well, first of all, I want to finish the film. So, oh dear. And it was a scene where I'm up with the first aid blokes have got me all in plaster, and I'm on the table there, and they suddenly realise they've got to get to a football match, and I want to go to the football match, and so, but they leave me, and I want to get to the football match, and so I managed to get off the table, and I get into a wheelchair, and I managed to gradually circulate the wheels to the top of the stairs, and then down slowly, and then it got out of control, down the stairs, through the wall at the bottom, which was a plaster wall, I must admit. Then you cut to the outside, and there's a big arch, and the plaster wall is just above the arch, and I came through the wall just as an ambulance was coming underneath the arch. I land on top of the ambulance, and it turns right and then sharp left, and I slid right off the roof, went through a glass window, and you cut to the inside of the ward, and I hit the floor on the inside of the ward, which was polished, and I slid right across and smashed into the wall on the other side, just as the doctor came in and said to the nurse, what's this man doing out of bed? But the thing was that they weren't going to let me do that. They had engaged a stuntman, and the stuntman did the first thing he did was come through the plaster wall on top of the ambulance. He slid off the top of the ambulance and broke his arm. So I'm sitting like this then. And so then Bob Asher came over and he said, what do you think? Do you think you can? I said, yeah. And they let me do it, you see. I knew they had to let me do it, or waste a day's filming, which is...
Come on there!
All right.
Step to it, man!
Pipkin will be disappointed he missed all the excitement.
Afternoon.
What's he doing out of bed?
Of course, Norman, everybody knows about and remembers all the films that you made, but what a lot of people have either forgotten or didn't know is that you've also been incredibly successful in America on Broadway. You won 2 awards on Broadway.
Yes, that was for Walking Happy, which is a musical version of Hobson's Choice, and I also did Not Now Darling on Broadway.
Norman, the other sort of major thing that you've done latterly, in 1982, you did the television play Going Gently.
Yes.
Now, this was something at the time that you said you had always wanted to do. You, in a way, felt that people had never taken you seriously enough and given you a really serious role to do. Here was a very serious role, which you took very seriously, didn't you? Tell us about it.
Well, I never even dreamed that I'd get a serious role from that point of view, although Walking Happy, but that was in America because Hobson's Choice, you know, with Willie Mossop, he would talk and all that, you know, and that was a serious comedy role, but I didn't think I'd get one like Going Gently, and it's Innes Lloyd. I had a letter from him and the script, would I go and discuss it with him, which I did, and Stephen Frears was the director. And we had lunch together. I wasn't hungry, but we had lunch together, and Stephen said, Norman, I don't want any laughs in this, you know. And I said, oh, no. And I could see what he was getting at, you see, the typecast. So I couldn't help saying, I know that I'm dressed in a sort of a nightshirt, but I said it would be all right if when I get out